The wind howls through forgotten ruins, where candle wax clings to cracked stone floors and the air feels heavier than it should. Tonight, you'll step into a realm where history and horror intertwine, a place where whispers of entities beyond comprehension linger. These are not mere myths or ghost stories told to frighten children. These are the forbidden names etched into ancient manuscripts, recorded by trembling hands, and erased by those who understood the cost of curiosity. Some doors were never meant to be opened. Yet, throughout time, desperate souls seeking power, knowledge, or vengeance have dared to turn the key. Picture a dimly lit library, untouched for centuries. A single candle flickers, casting shadows that twist like serpents across walls, lined with books bound in strange leather. Somewhere in these pages lies knowledge, so dangerous that even uttering a single word aloud could change the course of your life. Tonight, you will hear their stories. But this is not a challenge. This is a warning. Deep in the Middle East, long before modern civilization, a text was written in a language so alien that even seasoned linguists tremble at its sight. This text, whispered of only in occult circles, contains the first recorded mention of a being known simply as the Nameless Hunger. The accounts say that summoning it requires nothing more than 3 drops of blood, a mirror, and a single word. A word that no living soul dares speak aloud. The Nameless Hunger is said to arrive not with noise, but with silence. A silence so complete that even your heartbeat falters, and then the hunger begins. Witnesses describe seeing nothing, no form, no figure, only a creeping shadow that devours light, sound, and finally the summoner themselves. No bones remain, no traces are left behind. Only a mirror cracked down the middle, reflecting an empty room. Travel further west, across oceans and centuries, to a medieval monastery in France where monks recorded strange encounters in cryptic Latin. One name appears again and again: Beltharion. Beltharion is not a demon of fire or chaos, but of whispers. His legend claims that summoning him begins with a simple prayer, spoken backward at midnight. At first, you hear only silence. Then faint murmurs fill the room, murmurs that are not your own. The monks wrote of these whispers driving men to madness, revealing every dark thought they had ever buried deep inside. The summoner eventually loses track of which thoughts are theirs and which belong to Beltharion. Their voices merge, and the summoner's own identity dissolves into an eternal chorus of whispers. Those who encountered Beltharion left behind no screams, no badas, only pages scribbled with incoherent ramblings. Pages that, to this day, no scholar can fully translate. In remote parts of Eastern Europe, villagers tell of the Lantern Man. Unlike other entities, this one does not wait to be summoned. He comes to those foolish enough to call his name in the forest after dark. Eyewitnesses describe a dim lantern swaying in the distance, its glow faint and inviting. The summoner follows, convinced they are being led to safety. Hours pass. The forest deepens, and then they vanish. No footprints, no lantern. Only their own voice, faintly echoing in the trees, calling for help. The Lantern Man is believed to be centuries old, a guardian spirit turned predator, drawn to human desperation. Summoning him is simple, but escaping him is impossible. Ancient Egypt holds its own secret, buried beneath the sands and sealed in tombs that were never meant to be opened. One entity, known only as the Black Hand of Sekhem, was whispered about in papyrus scrolls that scholars rarely discuss publicly. The ritual to summon it is precise: an offering of oil, a carved statue, and a phrase uttered under a new moon. Survivors claim that the Black Hand does not arrive immediately. First, the air thickens. The summoner feels as if invisible fingers press against their throat. And then a single pitch-black hand appears, extending from a void. Those foolish enough to look directly at it are said to see their own death reflected in its palm, a death that comes exactly as foretold, no matter how far they run. In Japan, there is a lesser-known yokai legend that speaks of a woman whose face is always hidden behind a porcelain mask. Locals call her Hanya's Mirror, though she has no true name. Summoning her is an act of vanity. Those who stare too long into their reflection and whisper a wish for eternal beauty invite her gaze. At first, she grants the wish, transforming the summoner's appearance into perfection. But over time, their reflection begins to change, twisting, grinning, and moving independently. One day, the reflection steps out of the mirror entirely, leaving the summoner trapped within. The mask she wears is believed to be the face of her first victim. Across the Americas, legends passed through indigenous tribes speak of an entity known as the Hollow One. Unlike demons or spirits, the Hollow One is not bound by any physical realm. It is described as a shapeless mass, a darkness that moves like liquid shadow. The ritual to summon it is simple, but deadly. Create a circle of ash and whisper its name 3 times. Witnesses say the Hollow One begins as a distant shadow, slowly creeping closer until the summoner feels its breath on their neck. It doesn't kill right away. Instead, it steals pieces of the soul, leaving the victim alive but hollow, their eyes void of light, their mind a blank canvas. Entire villages were said to have fallen victim to this being. Elders burned the names of the summoning ritual to ensure no one would ever call it again. Even European occultists in the Victorian era recorded encounters with a figure they called the archivist. He is said to appear as a tall man in a long black coat, carrying books bound in human skin. The archivist is not summoned with a ritual. Instead, he arrives when one searches for forbidden knowledge, usually at the cost of sanity. Summoners describe waking in an endless library, books stretching to infinity. Each book contains not just history, but the personal sins of every soul who ever lived. The archivist offers answers, but for a price, a piece of your memory. Over time, you forget who you are, becoming nothing more than a name in one of his books. Perhaps the most chilling entity of all comes from a manuscript discovered in a forgotten monastery in Romania. It speaks of a being with no name, known only as the Collector. To summon him, one must light a candle at the crossroads and speak a single phrase in an extinct dialect. The candle flickers out, then footsteps approach. Those who summon him report feeling his presence before seeing him, a towering silhouette, faceless yet holding an ancient ledger. He comes not to harm, but to claim what is already his. The Collector is believed to hunt those who tamper with the occult, crossing into realms where mortals should never tread. Once he marks you, no prayer, no exorcism, no plea can save you. You will vanish, leaving behind only your name scratched into his ledger. There are hundreds of these stories, each with chilling details, each warning of the cost of forbidden's power. And yet, humans continue to summon them, some out of curiosity, some out of greed, some out of desperation. Every culture across the world has its own version of these entities' guardians, demons, spirits, or gods. But perhaps they are all fragments of something greater, a darkness that has existed since time began. If these legends teach us anything, it is this. Some knowledge was never meant to be known. Some doors were never meant to be opened. The next time you hear a strange whisper in an empty room or see a reflection smile when you didn't, remember this story. Remember their names. And above all, never ever summon them.